Hello everyone! Today I'm going to give you a roadmap for the journey of mastering any instrument. I've seen a lot of requests from you asking for tips on playing, practicing and all of that, and I think one of the biggest problems facing musicians today is the information overload that comes with having online access to all the musical knowledge you could possibly need. As you know, I play bass, piano, and guitar. But in this video, I'm going to focus on my own 15-year journey of musical development on bass, as well as what I've observed from many other musicians at Berklee College of Music, professional gigs and online videos, and then I'm going to distill it into the 7-step process that took me from being a complete beginner to where I am now. And I believe this process can do the same for you, no matter what your instrument. So tap like if you're excited. Mastering any skill involves breaking it down into smaller areas, and then spending many hours repeating exercises that are designed to improve your ability in those areas. Then you can combine those areas to gain some mastery of the skill, which in this case is playing your instrument. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did that in my journey. Assuming you've bought an instrument, the first step is to just have fun. Buy a tab or notation book depending on your instrument, and just learn some easy songs by artists that you love. I got my first bass when I was 11, and I loved the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so some of the first bass lines I learned were songs like Californication and Higher Ground. For some instruments, you may need to learn how to read notation at this stage, but for guitar, bass, banjo, and other fretted instruments, I think using tab at this point is just perfectly fine. By learning these songs that I loved, I immediately developed such a strong love for the bass as an instrument, and that just fueled my motivation for my whole career. The second step in your musical journey is to start playing in bands, orchestras, or ensembles, depending on your instrument. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or impressive, but it's just really important to learn early on how to play music with others. The first band I joined was a rock, verging on metal band when I was about 12. We wrote some originals, but also did a lot of covers, which I think is a really good idea because it taught me so much from successful bands about composition, songwriting, and also how my instrument works with a band. Step 3 is to learn some basic music theory and notation. I learned a lot of my music theory from books in school, but now you can find all of it online with just some really quick searches. At this stage in your journey, the most important music theory to know is the basic scales, like the major scale, the minor scale, the pentatonic scale, key signatures, time signatures, diatonic chords, chord functions, and basic rhythms. As for notation, I just kept learning more and more difficult bass lines and solos using sheet music instead of tab. So now that you've learned some of your favorite songs, you've performed with other musicians, and you have some music theory and reading abilities, the fourth step is to develop an efficient and smooth technique that will allow you to play anything you want. The secret to great technique is the same for every instrument, and it's economy of motion. This is the idea that by making your motions as small and efficient as possible, you'll be able to play as fast or as slow as you want for long periods of time without getting tired. When I first started playing bass, my fingers were a little bit like this. Later, my teacher at the time, Jim Sinnett, showed me how to develop much better technique. Firstly, I just played technical exercises while keeping my movements as small and efficient as possible. Here's a couple that I did for about an hour per day for a couple of months. Once I had those down to the point where I could play them in my sleep, I moved on to more advanced exercises like this. I also did similar exercises for tapping. Once you've got those technical exercises really down, then find some etudes for your instrument and play those over and over again while still keeping your movements small and efficient. Trust me, if you do this consistently for a few months to a year, or maybe a little bit longer depending on how much time you have, the efficient technique will become muscle memory and you won't even need to think about it anymore. It'll just be the way that you play. Of course, there are some great musicians who play with a very unusual or even inefficient technique, but most really skillful players that I've seen use economy of motion. So now, the fifth step towards mastery is developing your ears. I started with simple call and response exercises like this one. Then more advanced exercises like this. Until now, after many years of ear training, I can learn solos like Coltrane's Giant Steps by ear. At this point, I've learned hundreds of songs, riffs, bass lines, and solos by ear, and this has really helped a lot to give me a lot of fluency in the language of music. Learning by ear gives you much deeper instincts for music, and it'll help you so much when it comes to composing and improvising, which is a great segue to step 6. Develop your composition and improvisation skills. These two areas often seem very mysterious, but I don't think they have to be. The way I started out composing was to just try out some of the basic music theory knowledge that I had. I'd create simple phrases using diatonic chords like this. After doing this for a while, you should use your ear training ability to compose music in the style of your favorite artists. Some of the artists I imitated early on were Victor Wooten, my friend Grant Stinnett, and Michael Manring. I also imitated classical composers like Bach. Don't be afraid of copying in this early stage. At this point, your compositions are just for your own musical development. They're not about making money, and after some months or years of imitating your favorite musicians, you'll naturally combine all of those influences into your own unique style. For improvising, I recommend a 3-pronged approach of learning your favorite solos by ear, playing technical exercises over chord changes, and then just simply improvising solos as best you can. So now, you've reached a point where you can learn music by ear and then play it back using your great technique. You can compose music and improvise solos, and you can read notation and have some music theory knowledge. You've now achieved some level of mastery, so what's left? Step 7 is the never-ending journey of maintaining, improving, and expanding on all of these abilities. Revisit steps 1 through 6 and keep learning new songs that you love. Collaborate with musicians you've never worked with before. Learn more advanced music theory and improve your sight reading. Make your technique even more efficient and smooth. Develop your ear even further, and keep composing and improvising in ways that connect with people on an even deeper level. And I know that's what I plan to do. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope that this has helped simplify the process of mastering your instrument. Let me know in the comments which step you're at, and if you want more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video.